I woke up inside a coffin, with dirt falling onto my face and my fingernails broken from clawing at the wood. I did not remember my name. I did not know who had buried me alive. At first, I thought I was dreaming. Then I tried to raise my arms, and my elbows slammed into a rough lid, only inches above my chest. The air smelled damp, rotten, and sweet, like dead flowers left too long in a closed room. It took one breath, then another, and every mouthful burned my throat as if I were swallowing dust. Help! I tried to scream, but my voice came out thin and dry. I beat the wood with my fists, my knees, and my feet. Splinters drove into my skin. The darkness around me was not ordinary darkness. It was sealed, heavy, final, as if the whole world had turned its back on me. And then I understood. I was not in a room. I was not locked in some random box. I was underground. Get me out. I am alive. My screams cracked. The air was running out. My chest started to ache. I thought I was going toady without even knowing who I was, without a face, without a story, without a last word for anyone to remember. Above me, in the municipal cemetery of Cholula, Ricardo, the gravedigger, heard the pounding. Later, he told me that at first he thought it was a root moving in the wind. Then he heard my voice, so faint it sounded as if it were coming from hell. He dug like a madman. His shovel struck wood. The lid opened with a violent crack, and a rush of cold air tore through my lungs like a second birth. I saw a flashlight. A brown hand. A terrified face. "Dear God," he whispered. "You are alive." I tried to answer, but my body gave up. I fainted in his arms. When I opened my eyes again, I was lying in a humble bed, wrapped in a rough blanket. The room smelled like chicken broth and old wood. A woman with work-worn hands was wiping my forehead. "Easy, daughter," she said. "My name is Amelia. My husband pulled you out of the cemetery." I sat up too fast, and pain folded mine half. "Who am I?" Amelia looked at me with a pity that frightened Ed more than the coffin had. "In your fever, you kept repeating one name," she said. "Angela, Angela." The word sounded far away, like a bell ringing underwater. I did not remember my home, my family, or even me age. I remembered only the wood above my face. Ricardo came in with a hard expression. "Someone put you in that grave," he said. "And if they did it once, they may come back to finish the job." The next morning, from the window of their small house beside the cemetery, Amelia saw 3 men asking questions about an injured woman. They carried blurry photographs of my face. Ricardo shoved a cabinet against the door. "They are looking for you." Fear climbed back into my throat. "Who are they?" "We do not know," he said. "But they are not good police, and they are not people worried about you." Amelia led me to the back door. Cross the alley, reach the Calula market, and disappear into the crowd. "Do not trust anyone." I hugged her as if I had known her all my life. "Thank you for saving me." "Survive first," she said. "Thank us later." I ran between fruit stands, baskets, shouting vendors, and the warm smell of fresh tortillas. Every man in a dark shirt looked like a killer. I had no money, no documents, and no memory. He had only wounds and one certainty: someone wanted me dead. By sunset, I reached an old convent with blood on my knees and my voice almost gone. "Please," I begged a nun with gentle eyes. "They are looking for me. They are going to kill me." Sister Consuelo caught me before I collapsed. That night, in the small chapel, a memory cut through me like a knife. I saw an elegant dining room, a glass of wine, and a man in a dark suit smiling at me. "To family, Angela," he said. Then I saw his face clearly. My brother, Emiliano. And then I remembered the worst part. He was the one who had put poison in my glass. Sister Consuelo found me trembling in front of the altar, my hands locked around the crucifix. "It was my brother," I whispered. "Emiliano poisoned me." The moment I said his name, more memories returned. The Fernandez family company. The estates in Atlixco. The contracts. My father's inheritance. Emiliano had always wanted to control everything, but my father had left the presidency to me because he knew my brother's tricks. Emiliano hated me for it. I knew that. But I never imagined his envy could reach all the way into a grave. The nuns hid me for 3 days. They gave me clothes, food, and silence, but Emiliano had men all over Puebla. When I tried to report him at a local police station, the officer pretended to listen, took notes, and promised to take me to a trustworthy prosecutor. Halfway there, the patrol car stopped beside 2 black SUVs. That was when I understood that local justice had a price, too. "Sorry, miss," the officer said with a dirty smile. "Your brother pays better." They shoved me into the trunk of an SUV. Darkness closed around me again. This time, it did not scream. I searched with my fingers until I found the emergency release. I used a bent hairpin from the pocket of the borrowed dress. When the lock gave way, I threw myself onto the road during a turn. I rolled across the pavement, tore my knees open, and ran into an alley while gunshots cracked behind me. That night, I understood that hiding would not be enough. I needed proof. I contacted Camila Ortega, my childhood friend and the family attorney, from a borrowed phone. We met in an archive warehouse near the La Acacota market. When I removed my hood, Camila started to cry. I attended your funeral, Angela, she said. Istute at your Massachusetts. Then tell my brother to pray harder, I said. I did not die. I told her everything: the coffin, Ricardo, Emilia, the corrupt officer, the hired men. Camila opened boxes of old documents. She found copies of my father's will, original property deeds, forged signatures, and contracts changed after my supposed death. To himself, she said. If we get Ricardo and Emilia's testimony, along with a medical report proving you are alive, we can request a federal warrant. The local police are bought. Then we go higher. For days, we gathered evidence. Ricardo recorded a statement explaining how he had pulled me out of the coffin. Emilia showed the camera my broken nails and the blood-stained clothes I had arrived in. Sister Consuelo confirmed that I came to the convent injured, terrified, and hunted. Camila found payments from Emiliano's office to the corrupt officer. The federal prosecutor's office took hours to believe us. A legally dead woman accusing her own brother of attempted murder sounded insane. But the fake seals, the cemetery videos, and my medical examination opened a crack in the wall. Finally, a prosecutor signed the papers. We have an arrest warrant for Emiliano Fernandez. I cried without making a sound. Will they arrest him? Camila looked at me with a tired smile. Yes, she said. But not in secret. We will do it where it hurts him most, in front of his empire. The next day, Emiliano was leading a meeting with investors inside the Fernandez Tower. He walked in behind Camila and 6 federal agents. My brother stood up, pale as a corpse. No, Hugh whispered. That is impossible. You are buried. I took 2 steps forward. No, Emiliano. I am alive. And I came to take back my name. The boardroom went silent. 1 minute earlier, the investors had been listening to Emiliano talk about expansion and power. Now they were staring at the woman they all believed was dead, standing in front of them with scars on her face and fire in her eyes. My brother held a folder in one shaking hand. "This is a setup," he shouted. "That woman is not Angela. My sister is dead." A federal agent raised the warrant. "Emiliano Fernandez, you are under arrest for attempted murder, document forgery, illegal appropriation of inheritance, and corruption of public officials." He backed away, searching the room for partners, bodyguards, anyone who could still be bought. Nobody moved. "You have no idea who you are dealing with," he spat. "Yes, we do," Camila said. "That is why we came with a federal warrant." When the agents grabbed him, Emiliano struggled. Then he made the mistake that sealed everything. "Let me go," he shouted. "I buried her because that company was mine." The silence that followed was louder than any scream. Several phones were recording. My brother had just confessed in front of investors, attorneys, and federal police. He walked toward him slowly. My legs were shaking, but not from fear. I remembered the coffin lid. The lack of air. My bleeding nails scratching the wood. I remembered Ricardo digging in the night, Emilia giving me water, Sister Consuelo hiding me, and Camila opening file boxes like she was opening a door to justice. "You failed, Emiliano." His face twisted with rage. "You were always father's favorite." "It was not favoritism," I said. "It was trust. Dad knew who you were." The agent snapped the handcuffs onto his wrists. The sound of that metal closing was the most beautiful music I had ever heard. The video of Ofi's arrest spread across Puebla that afternoon. The news called me the heiress who came back from the grave. The Fernandez company collapsed into a week-off panic. The partners demanded an audit. 3 days later, the corrupt officer was arrested, along with 2 hired gunmen and the doctor who had signed my fake death certificate without ever examining a body. The process was long. There was no magic, and justice was not perfect. There were hearings, anonymous threats, and nights when I still woke up gasping, beating the wall as if it were the lid of the coffin. But this time, I was not alone. Ricardo and Emilia testified. Sister Consuelo spoke with a firmness that silenced the courtroom. Camila presented every document, every forged signature, every transfer, every call. When Emiliano heard the sentence, he would not look at me. He was given years in prison for attempted murder and fraud. The company spent months under supervision while the dirty contracts he had signed were cleaned out. The day I legally recovered my identity, I signed Angela Fernandez with a hand that still carried scars. I cried when I saw my full name on the document. Not because the paper made me exist, but because the world had finally stopped treating me like a dead woman. I sold part of the properties Emiliano had used to launder favors, and I created a foundation for missing women, victims of family violence, and people who, like me, had been erased by someone powerful. I called it Open Earth House. Ricardo and Emilia were the first people I helped. I bought them far from the cemetery and gave them dignified work running one of the programs. You pulled me out of the earth, I told them on a peening day. Now help me pull others out off here. Amelia hugged me and cried. You came back in your own, daughter, she said. We only heard your knocks. Sometimes I return to Sister Consuelo's convent. I sit in the chapel where I remembered Emiliano's face, and I light a candle. Not for him, but for the woman who woke up underground without knowing her own name. I tell her in silence that we made it. That we breathed. That nobody managed to bury us completely. I did not forgive Emiliano. Maybe some people need forgiveness to heal. I needed justice. I needed to see him without power, without guards, without the company, without our last name used like a weapon. I needed to understand that surviving was not enough if I kept living in fear. Now I walk through the halls of the company with a different energy. Not as the perfect heiress, not as the favorite daughter. I walk as a woman who returned from the place where others decided she was finished. Every time I sign an honest contract, every time I pay a fair salary, every time a woman comes to the foundation and says, nobody believes me, I remember the darkness of that coffin and answer her. I believe you. And we are going to open the earth together. Because they buried me alive, stole my name, and celebrated my death. But they forgot one thing. Some women do not come out of the grave to ask permission. They come out to take everything back.